Hi guys, welcome to the Youthful Voices podcast here at Mary Seacole. Today I'm joined with a selection of guests and we're going to be talking about healthy eating and young people. So does anyone want to go around the room and introduce themselves? Eve?
Hi, I'm Eve. I work here at Mary Seacole as well, and I'm in uni studying medical science.
I'm Denise Dobson. I work for Luton Borough Council. I'm Programme Coordinator for Luton Supporting You and an initiative called Food First.
Lovely.
Hello, and I'm Dr. Kunal Kothari. I'm one of the GP at Butte House Medical Centre, and we are working within the primary care network, Hatters Health Network, and I'm somebody with special interest in lifestyle medicine and especially diabetes. So that's what brings me here today.
Brilliant. I definitely think healthy eating is important for young people this day and age, considering like how much social media and like fast food is like promoted towards young people and the industry and culture it promotes. And I feel like it's not a bad thing to want to be healthy. I feel like, especially for myself as a young person, when I eat healthier, I notice that I have so much more energy compared to when I eat junk food. I feel lazy, feel groggy, feel like you just feel generally like
you feel
worse
better when you eat healthier.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important to make sure that you're getting those vitamins and nutrients in, because you never know what could happen when you get older. Like you need the energy to
when you're younger you have a faster metabolism, don't
This is true.
So
this is
you can
true.
take advantage of it more.
Yeah, 100%, definitely.
Do you think as young people, though, that you actually think about your health? I knew when I was young, I thought I was indestructible. It wasn't until a certain age that I started to think, oh my goodness. So I didn't know whether that's still...
I think it's difficult. I feel like given the amount of pressure that a lot of young people feel they like this day and age to look a certain way, definitely plays into it. Maybe it's definitely more of a superficial thing, I would say, or materialistic thing than like a health benefit perspective. But I feel for me personally, I do look at myself and think I do need to be a bit more mindful of the choices I make when it comes to how I'm going to be in the future. Because like you see, like there's so many diseases and problems that people are having these days, and you get like blood clots, high cholesterol, all these things that could like play into your health, and you don't realise how important they actually are. And healthy eating definitely plays a big role in contributing to these factors.
This is amazing to hear actually that both of you as a young people are so glued into, and you already kind of enumerated the benefit of healthy eating. And we definitely, Dennis, what you said, we see all the time that a lot of time people wait till they get the diabetes and then they start looking at their lifestyle. Okay, now I want to start walking, now I want to reduce my sugar intake, etc. But actually, as you rightly said, that the eating and disease is one aspect of it, and yes, how we can reverse it. But actually, day-to-day energy is the main thing. Food is our fuel. And you know, when you are putting even kind of a gas in your car, you try to go to a petrol pump which you kind of trust, where you know it's good. So we are that careful for the car, which you can change, whereas the body which you have, which you can't change. And to be careful of it, and in these growing years where your brain is still developing, you're learning new skill, is actually all about healthy eating. And I'm so glad to be here and kind of knowing that you guys are already thinking on those lines. No, thank you very much for inviting us.
That's okay, no worries. It's lovely to have you, and it's good to hear everyone's opinions, whether we agree or we don't agree. Cool, so we have some questions here that have been sent in from the young people of Luton, and what we're going to do is we're going to get our lovely guests to answer them. So Eve, do you want to take a question?
Yep. Let's see. Okay, should there be an age restriction on tea and coffee for young people?
Ooh.
I think we'll ask the doctor on that one.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of the tea and coffee, what we are talking about is caffeine.
Yeah.
And it's there to stimulate the brain, and that is one of the nerve stimulant. By general, what they say is that anybody less than 12, so I think you don't need it in primary school. After 12, so between 12 and 18 sort of age, you can get away with a little bit small amount. So probably equivalent of if you're having 1 cup of coffee or a couple of cup of tea, that's okay for that sort of teenage years. But before that, probably not.
Just on that, sorry.
Yeah.
What more worries me is the caffeine drinks as opposed to a tea and a coffee.
Drinks.
They're well pumped with caffeine as far as I think.
You are absolutely right. I think the caffeine in those energy drink is so high, and added with the sugar. As I was saying, that caffeine is your nerve stimulant, but actually sugar stimulates even more. And when you have combined effect of both, actually that's why then people feel restless, and then affects especially that growing teenage years where you are concentrating your study, you want to have concentration. It will just give you that restless, wandering mind, which you can't concentrate on.
Wow.
100%. Yeah, I think with energy drinks as well, it's very difficult because I remember when I was younger, they didn't have an age restriction on them, and you could just go and get them at 12, which is really bad considering you think how much energy is actually caffeine is in an energy drink. And one of my friends, her cousin actually died at 14 from drinking too much energy drinks. He went into a cardiac arrest. He had an underlying heart condition. So I really think there definitely should be a bit more of a crackdown on these energy drinks.
Yeah.
Maybe not tea and coffee as such, because I suppose it's not as much caffeine, but energy drinks are definitely.
The thing is with an energy drink, I think people have more than one, don't they?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So
And the sugar
it's
as
one on the
well.
way to school and it's one on the way back. So that's intense. And I used to be a foster care, and one of my young people, 4 or 5 for the day, and then she couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
So it's that, yeah.
Your heart goes crazy on them,
Yeah.
literally crazy. You lay in bed and your heart's you can't sleep. God. Right, should we do another question? Cool. Let's have a look. So many young people miss breakfast. Is breakfast an important meal?
Interesting.
That is very true.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting. So I think we just have to go back to the basics of what is breakfast. Is you are breaking your fast, and in a way, so you need to break your fast. So is breakfast important meal? Absolutely, because you need to break your fast. You cannot fast indefinitely. But what time you break the fast is important, and there is a flexibility in terms of when you are doing that. So I think more important question is what you are breaking your fast with, rather than whether breakfast is important or not.
Right.
And what matters is that, so it's almost and even we know with everything we do, how you start your day becomes your whole day. So if you have a very unhealthy junk breakfast to start with, then junk food spikes your sugar so high, and then it goes down that fast as well, which keeps you on giving you craving whole day, and then you will have day like that. Whereas if you are going to eat a healthy breakfast, then that keeps you full all the time, gives you the right energy, but right mindset, and that works better. So I think important question is with or without breakfast, but it's how you break your fast, and break your fast with healthy food.
So as a parent, no one can leave the house unless they've had a breakfast, which is usually a healthy one. But I think it's also about, it becomes a routine. You feel hungry if you're having your breakfast at the similar time. So, before you go to school, if you have, if it's 7:30 or it's 8, you have your breakfast. I think your body naturally feels hungry again at that time. So I think there is something about getting people used to having it at a regular and I guess a sort of set time.
100%. And I think as well, a lot of young people, they will skip breakfast, lunch, and then they'll be like, oh, I'll have dinner, and I'll make up for the fact that I didn't have breakfast and lunch and have a really big dinner, where if anything, that's really bad for you, because think about all that time you've gone without having something to eat, and you're burning all your energy, and now you're having a really big meal. I don't think that would be very good.
I think just one point to add on breakfast is that it's also about the planning. If you are having breakfast at your home, then at least you can plan what you want to eat and healthy choices. I'm sure over the weeks and months we get out onto kind of what is healthy or not. But once you have that, then you have that at home. Versus if you go out without that, and then if you're going to get distracted with all these big signboards of various fast food chains and all the shops, every school is so covered with all those takeaways and everything, and then you're going to eat that, then that's not good either. So it's all about planning.
Preparation, food preparation.
Cool. Another question?
Yep.
These are really good questions.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, is there such a thing as eating too much fruit?
I can't answer that because I really like fruit, but I've heard that it's not great to have too much, and also how you prepare it has issues, isn't it? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think when we took up the food, and I think a lot of time, I get a lot of time, even the friends and cousins, and sometimes people ring from supermarket, I'm buying this, is it healthy? And in the food, healthy or not healthy is always relative to what. So if you ask me that is the fruit, if you're not eating fruit and then your option is going to eat some donuts or something, then I would say fruit is definitely better. But if you're not eating fruit and your option is to actually eat some vegetables or some protein, etc., then I would say that is a better option. Right. So I think it's always, first of all, what you are comparing with rather than looking at isolation. And then you need to look at the body's requirement in terms of what we need is a carbohydrate, protein, fats, and we need some healthy minerals, vitamins, and fiber. So the fruit part gives you a lot of fibers and vitamins. So in that sense, it's good. But one of the most thing, and again, this day and age of convenience we are going through, food is supposed to be eaten. So if you eat food, it's good. But when you make a juice out of it, then you are actually removing a lot of good stuff with its fiber, etc. out. And then what you are drinking is just sugar. So I think it's very careful that eating fruit all along, but drinking fruit maybe not so good option. Once in a while fine, but it shouldn't be the healthy part in that sense.
So would you not recommend smoothies then for like a 5 a day?
So smoothies depends again on what you are putting in the smoothie. So if you have some vegetables to counterbalance, and if you are making it a smoothie, so smoothie versus juice, so in smoothie at least you still have all the pulp and everything in there. Whereas juice, you are almost squeezing out all the bits, which is actually healthy bit. So smoothie is not a problem in that sense. It's rather good as well, but what you mix it with. So if you can get through by adding some fruit. So, you don't like carrot, but you can mix apple and carrot and make a smoothie, or carrot and orange and make a smoothie. And if that's what you can have, and that's the only way you can get through some vegetables, then smoothie is a good option.
It's really interesting that I think, and it's not just young people, I think the media, we'd be believing that juices, fresh juices and smoothies are really good for you. So there's a kind of disconnect between our actual knowledge and what we see on because I thought I was pretty healthy, but having started this programme, I'm thinking, maybe I'm not as healthy as I thought. But you see all these things, and like you said, it's better than perhaps a bag of donuts. But I don't think we know enough. We definitely don't know enough as a nation what is good as what is bad. And how you're explaining it, I guess it puts it into a bit of context and perspective, which is really useful.
I think with all these things, there just needs to be a balance. There's no such thing. I think there's a very toxic culture of labelling foods as good and bad, and I think that can cause a lot of I shouldn't eat this, I'm going to be guilty, it's going to make me feel bad afterwards. Whereas everything is good. You need all food groups, just in moderation, in balance. And I think that's probably where a lot of people trip up, where they think, I can eat this because I've done well here, or I can't eat this because I haven't done this today. And I think that's probably quite a lot of problems that young people face when choosing what to eat, or how to cook and things like that. So it's a shame, really. You just need to make sure, I suppose, that you're getting everything in, just in moderation.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool. Let's have another look at one of these questions. How important is exercise alongside a healthy diet? Yeah, good. I agree. Definitely very important. Yeah, I would say.
I think exercise, and I think you initially, right at the introduction, you were mentioning about sometimes young people feel that because of the fast metabolism, you can get away with certain things. So I think there are two parts of it, that exercise is absolutely essential, especially when think in terms of the young people, because it's still your stage where you are building muscles, etc. So muscles are our powerhouse, meaning muscles have something called mitochondria, which is what kind of makes your metabolism keep higher on side. Now you all have natural that when you are young, you are blessed with that, but to maintain that you need to have reasonable amount of muscle mass. So exercise is very essential for that. At the same time, what should not happen is people to think that, oh, I'm going to, so you eat something very unhealthy and then you think I'm just exercise out by going out for walk for an hour, or I'm going to play sports today so I can eat and drink anything. Most of the bad food you cannot compensate by just over exercising. They both have a part, meaning there is a lot of science behind exercise, and probably that needs a podcast on its own in terms of how it generates the positive hormones and all those things, the kick what people need, it comes from exercise. So there is absolutely no doubt about importance of that for every age, but it's not, shouldn't be an excuse to then it's not a green light to eat junk food.
Right.
Yeah.
I personally think that exercise is great as well for young people. Like, I remember there was a time in my life where I was like, going to the gym, never do that. And now I feel like, now that I go regularly, there are so many benefits. Like, you feel so good when you come out, when you come out afterwards. Like, it makes you feel good about yourself. It improves your mental health. Like, it's a way for you to focus and concentrate. Like, and exercise doesn't have to be just like going to the gym. It could be playing basketball, it could be playing football, it could be going for a walk with your friends, literally anything, getting your steps in. I feel like, honestly, young people, they're missing out on a bit of a trick there by not getting involved in something like that, because I feel for me personally, as a young person, it's benefited me a lot, and I would like to see other people experience that. I mean, maybe everyone, they're not a bit sure, like they wouldn't know where to get started because they're scared or anxious, but especially when you step foot into a gym, I feel like a lot of people in the gym, they're not focused on you, they're focused on what they're doing. And that can scare a lot of people away because they're like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym because everyone's looking at me. But it's not the case. I think a lot of the time they're in their own little world, and it'll be the same for you. As soon as you start the gym, if you wanted to start the gym, if you wanted to look into a class, like, just bite the bullet, I think it would be beneficial for you.
I also think gym community are quite a nice community.
100%.
I think
really nice
they tend to, when you're new in, they're more than willing. If you ask them a question, I think they just don't sort of home in on you until you've asked them. But
of course.
I've always experienced them quite being really helpful.
Yeah, it's like
community.
When someone asks me, if they're like, oh, can you show me how to do this? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. And it's the same way the other way around. I think that's a great thing. Like, I have friends that I've met at the gym. It's a great sense of community. Like, it's a lovely thing. And I think young people should definitely have a look into that, alongside the healthy eating, obviously.
Amazing. So I think that there are 2 points of that. One, what very nice to hear about what you said is, and there is a science behind it. So you release a chemical called BDNF from the brain when you exercise, which is what is giving you that feel good feeling and that sort of a kick what you are getting through that. That's why actually they say that when you lift weight, you develop your brain before your biceps.
Wow.
Because
I never heard that.
Muscles comes with the consistency and over the time. Whereas even one individual session of any exercise actually give you straight away brain health. So brain actually gets better straight away even with one session, whereas to muscle you need to have a bit of consistency and 4 to 6 weeks down the line when you can start noticing some change. So I think that's kind of very important. And I think you talked about that sort of gym community, and that could be walking group, that could be a sports club, that could be, but we famously say that you are average of 5 people you surround with. So again, that community part of, if you surround with like-minded people who are careful of their body in terms of health, fitness, etc., your mindset becomes like that. And that part is really important to be part of such communities.
Do you think there are enough opportunities for young people to get exercise, sort of from teenage years up?
There's a lot of free clubs and there's a lot of gyms around, but a lot of gyms are expensive for young people as well.
A lot of gyms, they have cut-off limits for young people as well. Like they say that you can't go past 5:30
if you're
something
14,
like that if you're at college or something. I think that's as much as I hear it, I do think that it does limit a lot of opportunities for young people.
But then it's a safety issue. You can't have like a 14-year-old lifting 60 kg.
No, this is true. Yeah. Cool. If we go on to the next question.
Thank you. Okay. Why is healthier food more expensive than fast food?
Oh,
you can start.
I will start. So for me, I don't know that it is. I guess what that question is when you're out and you're having takeaway or something on the road, the healthier option. Because for me, I mean, I don't eat out very often because being vegetarian most of my life, you're limited. So for me, healthy food is just as cheap as something else, unless it's if you're on road.
Yeah, but, I agree. Yeah. I think if you're
I get frustrated that I can't get something unless it's deep fried.
Literally chips. Love that. Yeah, I do think definitely I agree with what you're saying. If you're like out and about, standardly like McDonald's, things like that, it's going to be cheaper. But if you actually like buy the ingredients to make a healthy meal and you cook it, that's going to last you like a certain amount of time. Probably be cheaper than buying a McDonald's when it comes down to it. And probably a lot better for you.
You said earlier on it's about the preparation, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in terms of one is the fact part of it is that so in typical, so we are talking, when you're talking about junk food, we are talking about ultra processed food. And typically, how do you recognize them? Are this food which are kind of packed in the bag, usually have lots and lots of ingredient, and a lot of those ingredients, when you see them, they are not the one you find in your kitchen. So a lot of things will start with E, etc., numbers, and there are a lot of things in there which you don't find in your kitchen. So actually, its only reason there is that there is preservative, and because of that, they have longer shelf life. So you can mass produce and you can keep it for longer. So that's why that become cheaper. Whereas when we talk about real food is the one which is going to decay. So whether it's the vegetables or whether it's your meat or whether it's your protein, any of those things, they will decay. And because of that, the shelf life is very limited from the source it comes. And by the time it gets sold, and even once in your house, you have to have a reasonable amount of time when you eat that. So on paper, that's the basic difference. Having said that, one of the things is, we also have, everything is about the advertisement, and we get through extreme of advertising superfoods. And then people think that when it comes to healthy feeding, it has to be some sort of avocados and that some sort of even broccoli, but even within that, there has to be some sort of super organic, super this, etc. But actually, it's not that. Any standard vegetable which you can buy as cheap as you can, or even things like eggs, etc., which are kind of relatively cheaper to buy, that you can make a very healthy meal out of it once you cut out all those ultra-processed bits which you don't need. And final point on that, I would say, I was going back to earlier, I mentioned about the body's requirement. One of the basic requirement of the body is what you can't make is protein. You need to eat protein in one form or another. Lots of junk food are devoid of protein, so they are empty calories. Now what happens is your body will keep you hungry till you don't have the protein. So actually you can have almost 10 meals a day and still not feel satisfied. So you are buying cheaper, but you are eating 10 times. Versus you could just have one proper healthy meal and then you are hungry for whole day. I mean, you won't be hungry for whole day. So actually, once you get requirement of the body done, which is protein, fiber, hydration in terms of the water, it's very likely that you're not going to crave for further food. So when you balance it out over a week, actually you spend much less money as compared to if you go junk to junk. That's why, why you have all the fast food chain, etc. You give bottomless drink, and those are normally sugary junk drink. They know that when you drink that, you're still going to be as hungry as they want. Otherwise, if you can just fill up on that, they wouldn't be giving that scheme. But they know that by giving you free drinks, you are actually end up eating even more.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's worrying, isn't it? And I guess that's it. It's about the profit margins, isn't it? Junk food, fast food, which I'm guessing.
Drinks are like proper killer as well. They have
so
much sugar in.
Tax, though.
We do.
Then
I don't think that stops many people.
No,
but
it's a good
still.
idea.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we've had a great discussion about healthy eating today. We've definitely all learned some interesting things. I think to summarise, protein seems to be the takeaway from what we've learnt today. Definitely important to get your protein in. Important to make sure that we're not consuming too much caffeine, or we're not maybe going for junk food, instead making a few more wiser choices and planning what we're going to eat as much as we possibly can, instead of just purchasing something for convenience. Is there anything else that anyone would like to add before we finish up?
Oh, I found it really interesting. The questions that you had have been fantastic. It's given my brain like overload how many
100%.
projects we need to think about doing in terms of education. And I don't mean in, you know, I think this is a very educational way of getting lots of really interesting facts across. So we're involved in also looking at giving people skills in terms of cooking. So we'll be doing over the next 6 months or so various pop-up kitchens to teach people how to cook. But I think invite us back. We've probably got loads more to say.
I think you could talk about this topic for probably hours, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have, so kind of working in Luton, kind of we see that lot more prevalence of things like diabetes, pre-diabetes, as compared to when you look at the wider general population. And part of that is that sort of health inequality is what we talk about, which is that sort of people from the kind of minority communities, etc., get more affected. Also, social deprivation doesn't help. And then, you know, you get more, there is a lot of research around even the areas which have more social deprivation have bigger hoardings of the fast foods and stuff like that in that. So I think all that affects. So I think what we are doing within sort of our network, and with the help with the kind of a Luton Council, with the sort of Mary Sickle and the Food First, etc., is launching all this program right now, something called 100-Day Diabetes Freedom Challenge, which is going on from, depends on when you hear, but you can join any time. So first round we are starting is sort of mid-October to mid-January sort of thing, 100 days. And within that, we are going to discuss on things about various way to control your health. That is the importance of sleep, mindfulness, activity, real food, time-restricted eating, and all those things within that. And that's a great initiative for people to join in. If anybody wants further information about these sessions on Hatters Health Network website, if they go to, they will find under the events further information. And we'll try to put some links into the comments as well. And particularly in terms of speaking about the young people, we have an event plan in mid-November, which is at the Bury Park Community Resource Center, 1 to 5 in the evening, I think, which is mainly around that sort of how to prevent illness. And you know that even you would have heard recently there was a government strategy now on even how do we prevent diseases rather than just wait for disease to come and treat. So this is all about, again, extension of what sort of healthy lifestyle we should live, so we don't actually get diabetes or the related those diseases. Sometimes they call it metabolic diseases, and how do we avoid that? So that event coming soon as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I really enjoyed the bit about protein and fibre.
Yeah.
Like, especially how I always thought if I just eat anything, I'll be full.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But now I know if I actually eat a proper meal, spend a little bit more money, being so cheap, then it'll make me feel better in the long run.
100%. Well, thank you all for coming today.
Thanks for having us.
It's been amazing. Had a great discussion with you all and definitely learned a few things. And thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to tune in for the next Youth Voices podcast. Bye.
Bye-bye.